Chapter 1. The day they called me a whore. I learned two things on the same morning. First, my promotion was real. Second, everyone believed I slept my way into it. The notice went up at 9:17 a.m. I remember the exact minute because I was holding a paper cup of coffee that tasted burnt and cheap, staring at the screen as my name refreshed into a title I didn't dare want. Interior Design Department. Deputy Director effective immediately. For 3 seconds, my heart forgot how to beat. For 4 seconds I forgot where I was. By the 5th second the office went quiet. Not the good kind of quiet. The kind that hums. The kind that sharpens. I didn't turn around right away. I didn't need to. I could feel it, eyes lifting from screens, chairs turning just enough, whispers catching at the edge of restraint. Someone laughed softly. Not kind. Not loud. Just enough. Wow, a woman said behind me. That was fast. Another voice, male amused. Fast? That's one way to put it. I took a sip of coffee. It burned my tongue. I welcomed it. Pain helped me stay upright. I had worked here for 3 years. 3 years of late nights, redrawn drafts, clients who changed their minds after approvals, budgets that shrank while expectations grew. 3 years of hearing "you're talented," spoken like a compliment that needed a warning label. But talent doesn't explain a promotion like this. Everyone knew that. I stood slowly and walked to my desk, ignoring the way conversations resumed the moment my back was turned. Did you hear? They say Director Fong pushed for her. Please. You don't get that position without. Without what? I sat down, opened my laptop, plugged in my mouse with hands that didn't shake because shaking would have been a confession. My phone buzzed. Mom, did you eat breakfast? I stared at her message longer than necessary. I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to tell her nothing. Instead I typed, "I'll eat later." That was a lie. I wouldn't eat all day. At 10:02 a.m. HR sent me an email. At 10:11 I was summoned to conference room B. That's when I knew this wasn't a celebration. This was an execution. Conference room B had glass walls. They always used it when they wanted an audience. I walked in alone. 6 people were already seated. 2 from HR. 1 from compliance. 3 executives I barely spoke to unless something had gone wrong. Their expressions were professionally concerned. Which meant they'd already decided. Sit, Director Fong said. I did. HR cleared her throat. There have been concerns. I waited. Regarding the circumstances of your promotion. There was. One of the executives leaned back, fingers steepled. Let's not pretend we don't understand how these things work. I smiled. Not because I wanted to. Because if I didn't I might cry. And how do they work? I asked. He glanced at my face. Down at my collar. Back up. You're young. Attractive. Ambitious. I said nothing. Director Fong spoke again, sharper this time. Several clients have expressed discomfort. Because? I asked. He hesitated. That was my answer. Because they think I slept with you? I finished. Silence. Heavy. Satisfied. No one corrected me. HR slid a folder across the table. We think it would be best if you step down voluntarily. Save everyone embarrassment. Embarrassment. I looked at the folder. Didn't open it. I earned this, I said. The executive laughed. That's the problem. My ears rang. I thought of the nights I slept under my desk. The weekends I missed. The designs I redrew because someone above me wanted their ego stroked. I have evidence, I said. My work. My project logs. Why? We're not questioning your competence, HR said gently. Just your path. My chest tightened. I realized then, this wasn't about truth. It was about narrative. They needed me to be dirty so the promotion could make sense. I won't resign, I said quietly. Director Fong's jaw tightened. Then we'll have to terminate you for reputational risk. I stood. The glass walls reflected me back. Small, rigid, dressed in gray like I'd always been told to do to look serious. I thought of my marriage certificate locked away in a drawer at home. A piece of paper no one had ever seen. A husband no one believed existed. A decision I made a year ago standing in a government office with a man who never removed his sunglasses. This is just paperwork, he'd said. No names. No photos. I'll protect you. Protect me from what? The door behind me opened. I turned. He walked in like he belonged there. Not rushed. Not dramatic. Calm as if he'd arrived 5 minutes late to a meeting he owned. The room shifted. Director Fong stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly. Chairman. The word hit me like a slap. Chairman. The man looked at the folder on the table. At the faces. Then at me. His eyes met mine. Brown. Familiar. Too familiar. The man who fixed my drafts at midnight. The one who never spoke over me. The one who always left before I could thank him. He took off his coat. Placed it over the back of my chair. Then he said calmly, clearly with no room for misunderstanding. You don't fire my wife. The room froze. My lungs forgot their job. I turned to him slowly, terrified of what I'd see on his face. He finally looked at me the way I'd always wondered if he ever would. Not like a colleague. Not like a stranger. But like someone who had waited far too long to claim what was already his. The husband I wasn't supposed to know. No one spoke. Not after he said it. Not after the word wife landed in the room like a dropped glass. Sharp, fragile, impossible to ignore. Director Fong's face drained of color. One of the HR managers actually stood halfway, then sat back down like her legs had betrayed her. I couldn't move. I stared at the man beside me, my brain scrambling to catch up with my eyes. Chairman. Husband. The quiet man who used to slide annotated drafts onto my desk without signing his name. The one who always smelled faintly of rain and black coffee. My voice came out wrong. Too thin. What did you say? He didn't look at the others when he answered. He looked only at me. I said, he repeated softly, you're my wife. The room exploded into whispers. That's impossible. She's married. To him. Is this a joke? My ears rang so loudly I could barely hear myself think. I stood up so fast my chair tipped back. His coat slipped off and pooled on the floor between us. Neither of us moved to pick it up. You said, I whispered low enough only he could hear, we would never meet. His jaw tightened. Just for a second. I said, he replied, I would keep you safe. Safe. I laughed. Came out ugly. This is safe. I gestured wildly at the room. They were about to throw me out like trash. And they won't, he said. He turned then finally facing them. She will not resign. She will not be demoted. And if anyone here believes her promotion was inappropriate, his gaze flicked, sharp and cold, you may submit your resignation by noon. No one breathed. Director Fong swallowed. Chairman, there must be some misunderstanding. We weren't aware, Mrs. Of course you weren't, my husband said flatly. That was the point. The word husband echoed in my head. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to cry. I wanted to grab his collar and demand answers he clearly owed me. Instead I said, I need air. I walked out. No one stopped me. The hallway outside the conference room felt unreal, like I'd stepped out of my body and left it behind. My phone buzzed nonstop. WeChat messages flooding in faster than I could read. Is it true? You're married. To him. Why didn't you say anything? I leaned against the wall, slid down until I was sitting on the floor like a child who'd lost something important. A shadow fell across me. He crouched down, careful as if I might break if he moved too fast. Look at me, he said. I didn't. You promised, I said hoarsely. You promised anonymity. You promised no interference. You promised I'd live like you didn't exist. I promised to protect you, he repeated. And I failed. I finally looked up. Up close he didn't look like a chairman. No aura. No shine. Just a man who looked tired in a way money couldn't fix. You could have told me, I said. You could have warned me. You could have. They were digging into you, he cut in. Your background. Your mother. Your finances. If they found the marriage certificate before I was ready. Ready for what? I snapped. He didn't answer right away. That silence hurt worse than anything he could have said. I didn't want you dragged into my world, he said finally. Enemies don't fight fair. I laughed again. Too late. A group of employees rounded the corner, froze when they saw us, then awkwardly turned around like they'd walked into something private. I stood. If you wanted to protect me, I said steady now, you should have trusted me. He looked at me like that was the one accusation he didn't know how to defend. That night I went home alone. He didn't follow. Which hurt more than if he had. My apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the traffic far below. I kicked off my shoes, walked straight to the drawer I hadn't opened in months. The marriage certificate was still there. My name. His name. A red stamp that made it real no matter how unreal it felt. A year ago I signed it to save my mother's life. A year ago he'd stood across from me, face hidden behind sunglasses, voice calm and distant. This is temporary, he'd said, that you'll never have to acknowledge me. I'd believed him. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a private number. I answered without thinking. I didn't sleep last night, his voice said quietly. Not when I heard what they were planning. Why are you calling? I asked. Because, he said, if I don't explain now you'll never forgive me. I closed my eyes. I don't know if I want to, I admitted. I know, he said. But listen anyway. There was something in his voice then. Something stripped bare. I watched you for months, he said. Not as a chairman. As your husband. I watched you work until your hands shook. I watched you take blame that wasn't yours. I wanted to step in every time. Then why didn't you? I whispered. Because the day I step fully into your life, he said, is the day you can no longer walk away from mine. Silence stretched between us. Finally I said, you already made that choice for me today. Yes, he said. And I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you, if you let me. I hung up. Not because I hated him, but because if I heard one more word I might forgive him too easily. And I wasn't ready for that. Chapter 3. They didn't stop whispering. They started hunting. By Monday morning, everyone knew my name. Not because of my work. Because of my marriage. I walked into the office at 8:43 a.m., and the energy hit me immediately. Too polished, too careful. Conversations didn't stop anymore. They shifted. Phones lifted a little higher. Smiles came faster and disappeared quicker. Respect and resentment have the same posture. You only notice the difference when it's too late. Good morning, Director Lin. It was the first time anyone had ever used my title out loud. I nodded, kept walking. At my desk my coffee was already there. But 2 sugars. Just how I took it. I stared at the cup for a long second. He hadn't said a word to me since Friday night. No calls. No messages. No presence hovering where I didn't ask for it. And yet, I picked up the cup, carried it to the pantry and poured it out. I didn't need his care sneaking up on me like a ghost. At 10:30 compliance called again. This time it wasn't a warning. It was an investigation. A junior designer knocked on my office door, eyes wide. Director Lin, they're asking for your past project files. From before the promotion. My chest tightened. They're saying someone filed a report, she whispered. Anonymous. About conflicts of interest. Of course. They couldn't fire me outright anymore. So they changed tactics. By noon, rumors had evolved from she slept her way up to she was planted here all along. By 2, someone leaked to a marketing blog that the chairman's wife was embedded in the design department. By 3, a reporter emailed asking for comment. I didn't reply. At 4 my phone rang. His name showed up this time. I didn't answer. 5 minutes later he walked in. No announcement. No entourage. Just him, dark suit, no tie, sleeves rolled like he'd come straight from a war room. The office went silent. He didn't look at anyone except me. Walk with me, he said. I stood. Followed. The elevator doors closed around us with a soft chime. I pressed the button for the underground parking. He didn't stop me. You should have told me, I said quietly. I was handling it. I don't want to be handled. He exhaled slowly like he was choosing his next words with care. They're trying to smear you because they can't touch you directly. So what? I snapped. You'll crush them? Make it go away. Yes. The word came out without hesitation. That's exactly the problem, I said. I don't want to win because of you. He turned to face me fully. Then tell me how you want to fight. The elevator hummed. I want them to see me, I said. Not you. Not us. Me. His gaze softened. They won't play fair. Neither will I said. For the first time he smiled. Just a little. The investigation lasted 2 days. 2 days of file audits, tense meetings, whispered phone calls. 2 days where every mistake I'd ever made was dragged into fluorescent light and examined for rot. I stayed late both nights. The second night, someone knocked on my door at 11:48 p.m. I expected him. It wasn't. It was Director Fong. He closed the door behind him. I warned you, he said quietly. I didn't invite him to sit. You humiliated us, he continued. You could have stepped down quietly. You chose spectacle. I chose survival, I replied. He leaned closer. You think being married to him makes you untouchable? Power doesn't protect women like you. It just paints a target. I stood. If you're here to threaten me, I said, you're late. He smiled thinly. I'm here to advise you. Withdraw from the department. Take a ceremonial role. Let this blow over. No. You're stubborn, he said. That won't end well. I opened the door. Get out. He hesitated. Then he said it. You know he'll get tired of you, right? My hand froze on the door handle. He married you for convenience, Fong continued. Men like him don't keep inconvenient wives. I looked him in the eye. Neither do men like you, I said. And that's why you're afraid. He left without another word. The investigation report landed Friday morning. No evidence of misconduct. No conflict of interest. No procedural violations. The anonymous accuser was reprimanded for malicious reporting. The office exhaled. So did I. At 6:17 p.m. he texted. Him, dinner. My place. We need to talk. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, fine. His apartment was quiet. Expensive without being loud. Like him. He handed me a glass of water instead of wine. I remember, I said. He looked surprised. You don't like drinking when you're upset, I added. You get headaches. He laughed softly. You've been paying attention. So have you, I said. Which makes this harder. We stood there, neither sitting. I didn't marry you to hide you, he said suddenly. I married you because I trusted you. I crossed my arms. Then stop deciding for me. He nodded. I will. Pause. I also need to tell you something, he added. My stomach tightened. What? There's someone else pushing this investigation, he said. Not inside the company. Who? He met my eyes. Pai family. The words settled between us like a loaded weapon. And I knew then the worst wasn't over. It was just getting personal. Chapter 4. If loving him meant losing myself, I should have known it wouldn't stop at the office. Power never stays where it's invited. It spreads. It seeps. It finds the softest place and presses until something gives. In his case, that place was me. It started with a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Lin, a woman said, her voice calm, practiced. This is the chairman's aunt. I didn't answer right away. She didn't rush me. May we meet? She continued. Privately. Woman to woman. I almost laughed. Almost. We met at a tea house tucked behind a row of luxury boutiques. Quiet, expensive, deliberately invisible. She was already seated when I arrived. Perfect posture. Pearl earrings. The kind of woman who never repeats herself because she's never ignored. She studied me the way people study art they're deciding whether to buy. You're prettier than I expected, she said lightly. That explains some things. I sat down. You didn't marry into this family for love, she continued, pouring tea. Let's not insult each other by pretending otherwise. I held the cup. Didn't drink. I married to save my mother, I said. What's your excuse? Her smile thinned. My concern, she said, is stability. Here it comes. You're a variable, she went on. You work. You have opinions. You resist control. These are not qualities we encourage in a chairman's wife. I wasn't encouraged, I replied. I was chosen. She paused. Interesting. That one landed. He will regret that, she said finally. Men always do. I set the cup down untouched. You didn't invite me here to insult me, I said. What do you want? She folded her hands. A divorce. There was. Clean. Efficient. We'll compensate you generously, she added. Property. A fund for your mother. A recommendation that ensures your career thrives. Anywhere but here. I laughed softly. I couldn't help it. You think this is about money? I asked. I think, she said coolly, that everything eventually is. I leaned forward. You're wrong, I said. This is about ownership. And you don't own me. Her eyes sharpened. Careful. I've been careful my whole life, I replied. It didn't save me. Loving him won't either, but at least it's my choice. She studied me for a long moment. Then she stood. You'll come around, she said. They always do. I didn't tell him about the meeting. Not that day. Not that night. I went to work instead. The design floor was tense again, quieter, sharper. Someone had leaked photos of us leaving the building together. Headlines followed. CEO's secret wife exposed, power couple or corporate scandal. By noon my inbox was full. By 3 clients started canceling meetings. By 5 my team looked at me like they were wondering how long I'd last. I went to the rooftop. The city spread out below me, loud and indifferent. I heard footsteps behind me. You should have told me, he said. I didn't turn around. About your aunt, he added. I stiffened. You knew. She doesn't do subtle, he said. What did she offer you? Everything, I answered. Except freedom. Silence. Then, did you consider it? I turned then. Looked at him properly. Yes, I said honestly. For about 10 seconds. His expression didn't change. But something in his eyes did. And, he asked. I realized something, I said. If I leave now, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering who I could have been if I hadn't been afraid. He stepped closer. I won't cage you. I know, I said. That's the problem. Your family will. He reached for my hand. Stopped halfway. Tell me what you want, he said quietly. This time I'll follow. I took a breath. I want my career, I said. Publicly. Free. No shadows. Done. I want them to stop calling me your weakness. They will. I want the truth, I finished. No more secrets. No more disguises. He nodded. Then there's something you need to be ready for. What? They won't come for me next, he said. They'll come for you harder. I smiled, tired but steady. Let them, I said. I'm done running. He finally took my hand. And for the first time since that boardroom door opened, I felt like I was choosing him, not hiding behind him. Chapter 5. The day I chose my name. They didn't attack quietly. They never do when they're desperate. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday morning. Formal, embossed, impossible to refuse. Extraordinary board meeting subject. Corporate ethics and reputational risk. My name wasn't on it. Which told me everything. They're going to force a public separation, I said that night, standing in his kitchen, the letter trembling slightly in my hand. Not a divorce. A statement. Something vague and humiliating. He didn't deny it. They think, he said carefully, that if you step back voluntarily, they'll preserve your dignity. I laughed once. Mean. They've never cared about my dignity. He watched me the way he always did when he knew I was about to do something reckless and irreversible. What do you want to do? He asked. I folded the invitation and set it down. I want to walk in with you, I said. Not as a rumor. Not as an explanation. As your wife. His breath caught. I saw it. If you do that, he said quietly, there's no undoing it. I know. You'll be tied to my name, he continued. Every headline. Every attack. You won't be able to go back to being invisible. I stepped closer. I've been invisible my whole life, I said. It didn't protect me. He looked at me for a long time. Then he nodded. The boardroom was full when we arrived. Executives. People. Family representatives. Faces that had learned how to smile without warmth. The whispers started the moment I walked in. She really came. Is she brave or stupid? Does she think this will save her? Kept my head high. I wore no jewelry. No designer label. Just a clean white blouse and black slacks. I wanted them to see me, not what they thought I'd traded for. The chairman's aunt sat near the center. She didn't look surprised. The meeting began. Words like risk, optics, stability floated around the table like knives passed hand to hand. Finally, someone said it out loud. With all due respect, an older man said, this marriage has become a liability. I stood before he could continue. I'd like to speak, I said. They hesitated. Then nodded. They were curious. Curious people are careless. I joined this company 3 years ago, I said. Before anyone here knew my name. Before anyone cared who I married. A few people shifted. I worked my way up. Not perfectly. Not quietly. But honestly. Someone scoffed. I turned toward them. If you believe my promotion came from my husband, then explain this. I clicked the remote. My projects filled the screen. Dates. Revisions. Approvals. Client feedback. Late-night timestamps that spoke for themselves. Silence spread, slow and heavy. I didn't ask for his help, I continued. I didn't even know who he was. Pause. Yes, I said calmly, we're married. Wiggly. For over a year. Gasps. Sharp inhales. But I didn't gain power from that marriage, I finished. I gained suspicion. I turned to the table. You can question my place here, I said. But you don't get to erase my work to make yourselves comfortable. I stepped back. He stood. If my wife leaves this company, he said evenly, it will be because she chooses to. Not because you forced her out. His gaze swept the room. And if anyone believes her presence here is unethical, he added, I invite you to review my resignation. The room erupted. No, Chairman, that's not necessary. We can discuss. He raised a hand. I built this company, he said. I won't let it destroy the one person who stood in it without armor. He turned to me. Stay, he said. Not as an order. As a choice. I took his hand. I will, I said. The headlines came anyway. They always do. But this time they were different. CEO's wife speaks. I earned my place. Power couple stands united amid scandal from anonymous marriage to public partnership. Some people still whispered. Some always would. But when I walked into the office the next morning, something had changed. Not respect. Clarity. At night, when the city finally quieted, we stood on the balcony together. You could have left, he said softly. I know. Do you regret staying? I thought of the boardroom. The fear. The moment my voice didn't shake. No, I said. For the first time I feel like my life belongs to me. He reached for my hand. Not to shield me. Not to claim me. Just to stand beside me. And that was enough. Some love stories begin with fireworks. Ours began with silence, paperwork, and a lie meant to protect. They called me a gold digger. A rumor. A convenient explanation for a woman who rose too fast. But the truth was never glamorous. It was late nights. Burned coffee. Choosing dignity when walking away would have been easier. Love didn't save me. Power didn't save me. I saved myself. And when he finally stood beside me, not in shadow, not in disguise, that's when I knew this story wasn't about becoming someone's wife. It was about reclaiming my name. If this story made your chest tighten, if you've ever been underestimated, mislabeled, or silenced, stay with me. Because this world is full of women like her. And men who learn too late that love isn't ownership, it's courage. Subscribe to Saintolla Lovelines to continue this audiobook series. Like if you want more powerful CEO romance stories. Comment if you want a season 2. Your support decides what story comes next. And trust me, the next one will hurt even better.